Hey, Truth Seekers, welcome back. Zach here. It's April 6th, 2017. Today, there is the funeral of John Glenn, the astronaut, the first man to supposedly orbit the moon, also the U.S. Senator, also the oldest man to travel to space, supposedly at age 77 in 1998. What I want to talk about is why his funeral is 119 days after his date of death on the specific date, April 6th. This has everything to do with Freemasonry, and if you don't know about Freemasonry, it is the secret society that truly runs the space program. Right here, down in the description, I'm going to link this video. This is a tour of the Freemason Lodge in Washington, D.C. I just want you to hear what they say at this point of the tour about Freemasonry and NASA and astronauts. And here, this picture on the wall is none other than John Glenn. Check this out, Truth Seeker.
I learned that almost all of our astronauts have been Freemasons.
So, if you could hear that over the music, and I'll link it down below, just go to just before 18 minutes in the video and listen. He learns at the tour that almost every single astronaut has been a Freemason. And we're going to talk about why NASA was really established in '58 in regards to Freemasonry after we cover everything interesting about John Glenn's funeral and his death. I have a video from back in December when he died as well, connected to Carrie Fisher and Star Wars. You can go back and check out those videos. I'll link them in a playlist. But let's start with today, the day of the funeral. It's April 6th, 2017, a date with 47 numerology, and 47 is a very special number to Freemasonry, who have this symbol. We're going to talk about the significance of symbols, this language of gematria, the practice of coding numbers into words, how numbers are symbols, why Freemasons operate by a numerological order and ritualistic fashion. Anyhow, the Freemason compass, each leg kicked out at 23.5 degrees. That's 47 degrees of curvature. All of this comes back to time, but to start, today's date has 47 numerology. It's 119 days since he died. We'll get to 119. The word Arlington, where he was buried today, sums to 47. So does the name John, a good Christian name. The word Christian, using the full reduction method, also 47. So 47, this number important to Freemasonry. Notice that the word time has gematria of 47. We live in a world where time is measured by the sun, our most distant star. We're going to talk about what's so interesting about the word star in regards to the establishment of NASA as well. But anyhow, this world, time is told by the sun and the sun's light. And the way the ancients, and even in modern times, the way the solstices are measured are by the tropics. The Tropic of Cancer at 23.5 degrees north, the Tropic of Capricorn at 23.5 degrees south, a difference of 47 degrees. These measure the solstices, the beginning of summer, the beginning of winter. The word time in gematria is 47. And look at these coordinates, 23.5, 23.5, just like what the degrees are kicked out on the legs of the Freemason compass, which is for making circles. And this is about measuring time, where we live in a world of cycles and circles and orbits having to do with the sun. Time is the ultimate authority. Authority has the gematria of 47 and so many other important things. The Freemasons have the 47th problem of Euclid about how to establish a foundation using the North Star, also known as the pole star. If you read about the Freemason compass, they refer to this as the pole star in their symbol. Foundation and pole star are 47. The Freemasons also have the 47th problem of Euclid. Again, how to establish foundation. The Freemason symbol, the big G, that's the 7th letter in the alphabet. 7 is the 4th prime number. 7 and 4. 4 and 7, natural relationship. So John Glenn died December 8th, 2016, a date with 36 numerology. The name John Glenn happens to have gematria of 36. If you count every number 1 through 36, it totals 666, the number of the beast. And the reason that's interesting is because his funeral's today, April 6th. In the King James Version of the Bible, the 1611 version, the original version, the time of the Rosicrucians, in Psalm 46, it leaves 666 chapters remaining. A known 666 tribute within Psalm 46. It's interesting that his name has this connection to 666 and his funeral's on April 6th. There's more interesting things about the date of his funeral, April 6th being today, than just that. But that's something to keep in mind. Probably not arbitrary. From the date he died to the funeral today is 119 days. Even before this happened, I explained how this death was connected to Carrie Fisher, who was in Star Wars. Check this out. Milky Way has gematria of 119. You know, space, the Milky Way, NASA. Star Wars has gematria of 119. So does All-Seeing Eye. So does Star of David. So does Master Plan. Star of David, the symbol of the very Masonic and Zionist nation of Israel, recognized as a nation in 47 on the 333rd day of the year with a 33-member vote by the United Nations. If you've never seen my work on the Freemason Square and Compass 333 and 47, watch the video even I just put out this morning. Often I'll talk about this number. I did an earlier video where I ranted about John Glenn's death and what else is in the headlines today. This is the nicer, family-friendly version with even more information. But anyway, 333, 47, numbers of Masonry, numbers used all throughout history, again and again by this gang, because this gang's ritualistic and these numbers have meaning. So anyhow, 119 days from his death to the funeral, numbers relevant to space, the all-seeing eye. The all-seeing eye, it's all about what's going on in the mind's eye of the masses. What are we all seeing, thinking, believing? And the powers that shouldn't be, who are Masonic at the top, they're all about controlling us through propaganda and steering us, especially with symbols, which are very often created in the media. So all-seeing eye 119, Star of David, Master Plan, Foundation. This is one of the most famous symbols in the world. On our dollar bill and elsewhere, known as the Eye of Providence. Providence in Sumerian gematria is 666, by the way. That verse from the Bible is about the man who has wisdom will know how to calculate the number of the beast. I'm trying to share that wisdom, truth seeker. But anyway, Eye of Providence has gematria of 86. So does the word symbol. One of the most famous symbols, the Eye of Providence, 86, symbol 86, triangle 86, pyramid 86, republic 86, citizen 86, a society of people ruled over by symbols. You know? Numbers are symbols at their most basic level. It's why things such as 8, used to represent the infinite loop. It's why in a movie such as Back to the Future, they always time travel at 88 miles per hour. Speaking of symbols, in 86, think about what 86 means, to get rid of. Remember the Hiroshima date of bombing, August 6th, 8/6 as we write it in the U.S., 1945, end of World War II. That's a symbol that we all have ingrained in our minds. It's been shown to us so many times. See how this all comes together? Special numbers, symbolic numbers, used ritualistically to program. April 6th, the date of his funeral, is the 96th day of the year. The word Freemason, 96. The special degrees of Freemasonry, 31, 32, 33. Sum them together, 96. NASA, as a program, was established July 29th, 1958. That's a date with 113 numerology. Let's just do it together. 7 plus 9 is 36. We just talked about that number. Plus 19 more is 55. Plus 58 more is 113. And remember what this number represents. Mainstream 113. Dishonest 113. Green screen 113. Who's the master of the green screen? George Lucas, whose first film is what? It's not Star Wars. It's THX 1138. 113. See that movie. George Lucas has the 58 connection. We're going to talk a lot about 58. But again, this is a word that has to do with deception. The green screen can be used to deceive as well as entertain. Dishonest, perjury, 113, bullshit, 113, fiction, 113, NASA, created on a date with 113 numerology. Remember, it's also Scottish Rite Freemasonry running the show that established this nation, that's established everything since, including NASA, that's run all their major rituals by this same code since. What I'm exposing goes back to at least the beginning of the 1600s, and really a lot longer than that. But to the beginning of the 1600s is an easy pattern to trace, and that's enough time to prove the ongoing conspiracy that needs to be stopped in its tracks. And I suggest when it comes to sharing this research, just to stick to all you need to stick to. There's no point to extend and go beyond what is apparent, such as this. NASA being established in 58. Remember, science equals 58 with the alphabetic order. In 1958 was the pilot episode of The Twilight Zone about putting a man on the moon. Rod Serling, 58, the writer of The Twilight Zone. Freemasonry, 58, Secret Society, 58, Annuit Coeptus, We the People, Solomon's Temple, all these things, 58. Freemasonry based in the history of Solomon's Temple, the legend of Hiram Abiff. Solomon's Temple set up in a fashion that Masonic lodges are now constructed after. In the beginning of the 1600s, there was the Rosicrucian movement, King James, Francis Bacon, King James Bible. That movement was about combining magic, the mystical religions of the world, with Christianity. This whole gematria thing is it. It's why they call our language spelling. Spelling. The whole King James Bible is a book of numbers. So are the other versions, but the King James is the most loaded. That and the New International Version. Anyway, Rosicrucian, that had all this influence on modern-day Freemasonry, 58. Rosicrucian means Rose Cross, 58. United States, 58. Washington, 58. The time element. It's about time. The first episode, putting a man on the moon. November 24th, 1958. Here's what's awesome about that date. That was a date with 93 numerology. They tell us, the occult say Saturn is the keeper of time, and Saturn is the only planet with the gematria of 93. In this world, the sun's the true keeper of time. They tell us the sun is 93 million miles away. God's sun equals 93, crucifix 93, special number 93. Think about how man created light so that we could overcome night, and we called that invention the light bulb, 93. So anyhow, Saturn, the keeper of time, Sun, the true keeper of time. There's this Kabbalah cipher, ALW. And in this cipher, the word time even sums to 93. All of this stuff comes back to these ancient practices. Gematria, numerology, Kabbalah. This stuff's been with the world for thousands of years. And the world's elite are using it, to the ignorance of the people in the public. I didn't have a clue about this until I was 30 years old, and I came across it just by searching and asking the right questions. And then taking the time to research if there was anything here. But look at this. 93 is the number that has to do with keeping time. The time element, 58, Freemasonry. Freemasonry is all about this. Freemasonry is all about goat symbolism. Capricorn, the goat, Saturn, Capricorn. There's a whole lot of layers here. But this is what it is. It's all symbolism, ancient knowledge that applies to this world we live in. That's been with this world for thousands of years, but that the masses have been kept in the dark about. Freemasons pride themselves on being the keepers of knowledge, the invisible architects of society. With regards to the sun, again, it's also our most distant or closest star. Star gematria of 58. So, to go back to the news, I did a video when John Glenn was hospitalized and after he died, and I talked about how the day he was hospitalized, it was a date with the big 144 connection, number that represents time. Pearl Harbor Day equals 144, like hospitalized, like when you write out 44, Military and space both equal 44. Talk more about that. When I made this post, December 8th, 2016, Derek had not come along yet with his calculator in this reverse ordinal gematria. Look at this. The name John Glenn is 144 in reverse ordinal. And back then we already knew about its connection to time and the significance of time. He would end up dying 144 days from his birthday. His birthday is July 18th. He died December 8th. Look at that. Dies 144 days later. And he's remembered for what he did in space. Right? Let me see where I put this all up here. Hold on. Want to make sure all of this information gets absorbed. I guess this is right here on this slide. Okay, so he is part of the Apollo mission. He was the man who was shot into space and the first man to orbit the moon. Then came later the moon landing with Neil Armstrong, the first man to set his foot down on the moon. Let's look at the name Armstrong real quick. Armstrong with the full reduction is 44. Remember, space equals 44. The moon landing happened July 20th, 1969. July 20th is Cancer in astrology. Cancer equals 44. Cancer in astrology is ruled by the moon, so a moon landing in the time of Cancer. Also, the astrological symbol for Cancer is 69. 69. A moon landing in 69 in the time of Cancer. Neil Armstrong, the first man to touch down. You see? The word moon also has gematria 57, just like Scottish Rite. And remember, it's the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry running things. Scottish alone is just 113, like the date NASA established. You follow? So again, 58, very special number. United States 50, Washington 50. Today, John Glenn's funeral in Arlington National Cemetery. You know, no stranger to the Capitol. He was a senator in Washington, D.C. We're going to talk about his mission to space at age 77. Make sure I covered everything here. Real quick, with his birthday being July 18th, 18/7 as it's written in most parts, this past year on his birthday was the first day of the GOP convention, July 18th. From that day to Inauguration Day was 187 days. I said then, if Trump becomes the president, don't forget this. George Washington in gematria sums to 187, and in reverse ordinal, Washington, D.C. is 187. Just like John Glenn equals 144 in reverse ordinal, and hospitalized, the big headlines on Pearl Harbor Day, in English ordinal, hospitalized is 144, just like Pearl Harbor Day, you know? What a perfect day. And I never caught that before. The Kabbalah cipher Pearl Harbor Day is 144. Remember, 44 has the relationship with 144, and military is 44. You know, Pearl Harbor Day got us involved in World War II, Pearl Harbor, 114, like World War, like Holocaust. Anyhow, 187 is the number here. John Glenn, born July 18th, Inauguration Day this year, 187 days away. Washington, D, 187, like George Washington, the first recognized president, the Freemason. Trump the night of the election in Rockefeller Plaza. Donald Trump a Jesuit. The Jesuits are the Society of Jesus, 187. Had his convention in Ohio, which has the satanic gematria of 187 like time. You know, his visit there synced up in time. July 6th is the 187th day of the year, and the reason that's funny is because George W. Bush is born on July 6th, the last Republican president. Speaking of 47, where we began, just look at the numbers. Ohio, President, Authority, White House, Government, Trump, Agent, Washington, D.C., all 47. The roads in Washington, D.C., built by a Freemason, come to a 47-degree point that points right at the White House. The name Trump, Truth Seeker. The name Trump has gematria 47. Donald Trump, the Trump card, and the time of the hit TV show House of Cards. So here, last piece about John Glenn. He went to space in 1998 at age 77, oldest man to travel to space. It was a date with 156 and 137 numerology. When you write out 33, it sums to 156. 137 is the 33rd prime. It happened in October, the only month with 33 gematria. There's so much 33 in the history of the space program as well. It's mind-blowing. Search Zachary K. Hubbard, NASA. I talk about 33 in NASA overwhelmingly in most videos I make on it. But there's more than just 33. People got to know these other numbers. 137, special number. Authority 137, Washington, D.C. And really a whole lot more than that now that we know our reverse. Government's 137. Is it White House? White House is 137. Look at that. Also on the Kabbalah cipher, it's 137. It trips me out, these alignments. You know, I'm so grateful that Derek created this calculator because it has really opened the door to just how well planned out and thought out our language is based on this ancient knowledge. This knowledge has been coded into alphabets before English. It's all part of the ongoing Masonic agenda. But anyhow, the date he went to space, date with 33 connections, Washington, D.C. connections, authority connections. The Freemason compass has the 47 degrees on the compass, also the 90 degrees on the square, 137 degrees of curvature with the big G in the middle. Big G in Francis Bacon gematria represents 33. You know, the big G's in the middle of the Freemason compass and square that has a 47 degree angle on the compass, 90 degrees on the square, 137 degrees of measurement, 137 the 33rd prime. You see how it all comes together? But with regards to this man traveling to space at age 77, remember Washington, D.C. is on the 77th meridian. 77 is a special number. And now that we know our reverse, it has become a whole lot more relevant. United States 77, Secret Society 77, Rosicrucian 77. It was the Rosicrucians who, Francis Bacon, they say it was largely Francis Bacon who started the movement to colonize and settle the Americas as history, as we're told what happened. So understand, all of these things so interrelated. But DC on the 77th meridian, sending this man into space at age 77. Hubble telescope even has the gematria 77 power. Consider that 7 times 7 is 49. Washington 49 when you write out 7749. Special numbers. And if you read this article, it's all full of interesting numbers. 3.6, 213, 44. You follow my channels or the videos I put out, you know about those numbers. Astronauts, by the way, the reason they wear orange, that has a lot to do with 33. I think it's the same reason Donald Trump's orange. Orange 33. Funny that orange is 70 in Kabbalah. Donald Trump took office at 70. Maybe. But I think there's this growing 33 federal orange man agenda. A whole lot of orange people showing up in Washington, D.C. But we covered enough here, Truth Seeker. You know, if you can't see that this is what they're doing, you can't see. Period. And for all of you who are trying to reach your friends and family about NASA and a conspiracy, if you want to wake your friends up and family to the conspiracy or have a chance at doing it, some people refuse to wake up no matter how much evidence or logical reasoning is presented to them. But if you want to wake up your friends and family and you're trying to do it with the flat earth theory, that's not the way to go. If you think the earth's flat, you have been duped by a purposeful psychological operations that is largely waged online by purposeful predators who are being paid to mislead. Here, look at one of the leaders in the flat earth movement. Did you guys know that they're going to have a flat earth rally and they're charging all this money to go to it? One of the lead speakers is ODD Reality 113. I just told you about how NASA was established with the 113 numerology. This guy is selling t-shirts that say NAS holes that look pretty much just like the NASA symbol, but just with NAS holes written instead of NASA. You know, these people are trying to say that they're out to expose NASA for hiding that the Earth's flat. Look, NASA is a massive conspiracy. It always has been. It's about convincing the people of power. It really does come back to power and technological domination. And what this flat Earth thing is trying to do is, okay, NASA's lying because the Earth is flat. That is just so lame and ridiculous and unsupported. The truth is NASA is lying because it's all about the power control structure and fleecing money from the public. You know, a lot of money goes to these military programs, more than just NASA. And do you hear any of these flat Earth channels talking about the rest of the ridiculous military spending? No, it's just all targeted. It's meant to trap people. It's meant to make them look like Looney Tunes. We live in a world where people don't respect truth. And, it's so many people, after I start speaking for 30 seconds, and all that's come out in the 30 seconds is logic and reason, they're already turning out and thinking, oh, this sounds like conspiracy tinfoil hat. You know, there's just a perception already in society that people who speak truth are crazy. They're not to be taken serious. Now that things are becoming more popular, such as flat Earth, it's being connected to all of us. I mean, people troll me every day and say, oh, this guy believes the Earth's flat too. And I'm like, I know why they're doing that. They're leaving those comments so people who read, they think, oh, this guy thinks the Earth's flat. He is crazy. The way to prove that NASA lies is not through flat Earth hearsay and unsupported, illogical videos made to misrepresent the truth and manipulate the viewer. The way to do it is the way I'm showing you. Because this whole history of NASA and this nation and Freemasonry is by the numbers. And, you get people to see that, they'll see an even bigger picture. NASA's just part of the ongoing agenda. The agenda began way before 1958. But you got ODD reality, 113, like mainstream, just one more time, like dishonest, like bullshit, like fiction. I don't know where they find these people from. It's like they got something against them. They're holding something against them. They can use them. Or, in this world, so many people just sell out for the almighty dollar. ODD reality selling NASA t-shirts and flat Earth albums and come on, people. I feel like I should show up at that flat Earth debate and steer everybody in the the way of sanity. The flat Earth movement is not sanity at all. It is just, the worst. The worst. And I know it comes straight from the powers that shouldn't be. I know that it comes straight from the powers that shouldn't be. I'm pretty sure it is NASA that's doing it. Flat Earth theory, 223 in reverse. You see my video on Kyrie Irving and why he came out against the flat Earth theory? If you missed that video, I'll just show you real quick. Why did they choose Kyrie Irving? It had everything to do with Irving Washington, the history writer, the author, who convinced the world that recently they used to teach everyone the Earth is flat, which is complete bullshit. Here we go. Got interrupted with the phone call. This is why they chose Kyrie Irving, who shares the name Irving with Washington Irving, the writer who popularized the belief that until recent history, people thought the Earth was flat, which is not true at all. It is to say that, everybody was stupid. Our whole history, the way it is taught, is bullshit, and Washington Irving's part of this. What we learned in elementary school was that Christopher Columbus sailed to the Americas where people lived and he discovered it, and part of his journey proved that the Earth was a sphere because he didn't go off the edge. This whole story is just complete bullshit, and Washington Irving's a big part of the reason it spread. So Washington Irving connected to the Flat Earth Theory 223 like Washington Irving. Remember, over All-Star Weekend, it was big news that 2 NBA players came out and said the Earth was flat. Even though there was 2, almost all the focus was on Kyrie Irving. The other was Draymond Green. Kyrie wears number 2. Draymond Green wears number 23. 223. 223, very important number to the Freemasons, the false Jews, the synagogue of Satan. Days after this, NBA basketball player Shaquille O'Neal, who is a Freemason, came out and said that he thinks the earth is flat. You know, Shaquille O'Neal has name gematria like flat earth theory, like Masonic. It's all a joke. And it's all a joke amongst Freemasons who just, love having a one-up on the general public. Duping them, keeping them led astray, confused, not knowing what to think. It's sick. It's sick, and a lot of people don't get it. I'll link all these blog posts so you can go back and watch the video. Flat Earth Theory also has a second connection to Irving, part of the reason they chose Washington Irving. Don't forget who runs the NBA. Freemasonry, false Jews. And I mean, for all of you who are convinced that, the earth's flat and we live in a glass dome and there's no escaping or getting out, I mean, you guys are deluding yourself into things you don't know about. I'll tell you what, I think the biggest proof for alien life on planet Earth, you're looking at it right here. Look at that man. Was he really born here? Or was he born somewhere else? I don't know, you guys. I'm not sure we're alone. That reminds me. When I was in high school, my high school teacher told us he was 100% certain that there was life on Mars. That was the same time Clinton was president. It was about to be George H.W. Bush. And Bush said, we're going to send a mission to Mars. Planet Mars has that 119 gematria too. They're bullshitting us. We're being bullshitted. That doesn't mean the Earth's flat. Anyone who tells you the Earth's flat, they're full of shit too. They're even more full of shit than NASA, Truly. They sent us the Mars rover. Don't forget rover, one of those words with the 33 gematria. They just can't get enough. But that's enough of this video. Until next time, true